Hello and welcome back to the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. This brew has been brought to you by our friends at 321 Ignition, Dealership Toolkit, Petra Oil Products, M1 Data and Analytics, VinQ, Don Brady Consulting, and Think and Brew. Let's have some fun. Let's brew!
Let's get ready to get some things exciting about the power that happens when we make the right connections, when we really look at what it is that we're actually saying to the people that we're trying to get our product to with the incredible, the one,
the only,
Miss
Elise Kephart.
Hi, good morning.
Good
morning.
morning.
Wow, we're so thankful to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still kind of giggling that I went off on some passion talk there before, and you're like, oh, we got to go live. I'm all, oh, dang, we're not live. So
He was dropping nuggets for everybody, these gems, and it was really beautiful, actually. So I
can get passionate. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
For the passion.
That's why we have you here. You know,
Yes.
like I said, I told you when we first talked, I've been following you for a while. I've been seeing what you're doing. You're connected to some amazing people, and so many people just love what your aura and your energy is about. And when you talk and you share and you do these things and you break down what you do and what your passions are, people just listen. Yep. And it's something about what you have. It's honest. It's integrity. It's everything that people are looking for today in this world. Real. They don't want fake. So at least you are the realest. And I appreciate you for being here this morning. It's awesome.
Thank you. With that said, I'm wearing sweatpants on the bottom still because it's about 5:30. But no, thank you.
I got some sweatpants on right now too. I'm a suit and I wear a lot of suits and stuff like that. But when I do these shows, I like to be comfortable. So I'm wearing some Adidas sweatpants right now. I got.
Heck yeah.
I mean, shoot, I'll even show you.
Where did you guys get those shirts? I want to.
CarGuyCoffee.com. But you can definitely.
You're gonna get in.
All you have to do is give me your shirt size and an address, and you'll get some of that stuff anyway. Because you're a special guest.
For sure. That's right up my alley. I like those. Cool.
Awesome. Well, there's a lot of inspiration shirts, as we call these. So we have a few of these. We got this one, the Keep Growing shirt. We have a few, and we'll send you a big old gaggle of stuff and make sure that you're happy. And, swag pack. Yeah. So we appreciate it. And thank you. And matter of fact, speaking of the Forgive, Focus, Fly, let's break into that.
We need to go ahead and make sure that we establish what it is that this is all about. Car guys, car gals, and all you solutionaries out there. There is so much power that can be used when you intentionally wipe off the weight of unforgiveness and your hands are freed up to focus on what it is that you need to go after and achieve. And then you have the freedom to fly. And so we are excited to keep growing while we do that. So Elise Kephart, join us as we apply these 3 F's so that we can keep growing. Go ahead and put your hands on your shoulders one time. Here we go. On 3, we're going to wipe off the weight of unforgiveness. We're going to focus and we're going to fly. 1, 2, 3, forgive.
All right.
Focus, fly, and keep growing. Keep growing. Yeah. Yes. So now we are officially beginning. Thank you. Oh, here we go. He's gonna get it going. You got to see how much dancing we do when we don't have the camera on us. You think the quick brews is a lot of dancing? We are always dancing up inside of this cafe. And we're just pumped up that we have somebody else in here.
Did you see my robot yesterday?
I did see your robot.
Man.
I broke down the robot yesterday during my quick. I'm running out of ideas. People say, do a dance. I'm like, I try to do different dances every time. And eventually I'm like, here I am.
I was talking about, I've never taken dance class. I was talking about dancing, and you know what happened next? I got targeted for virtual dance lessons, like to Justin Bieber songs on my Facebook. I'm like, what is this? I have this mirror that I haven't hung up, and it's a big mirror, so it's just in my garage, but it's almost like such a full size mirror. I was like, this literally could work, because you can see a lot.
Yeah, get those steps going. I know my wife, she was like, literally the other day, this is probably, I don't know if I told you about this, Lou, but she was like, I want to be a hip hop dancer. I was like, okay, babe, what do you mean? And then so she was like watching, probably like America's Best Dance Crew or something to that nature, some old show that we watched before. And she's over here doing like all these little dance moves. She's like, I just want to be like a hip hop dancer. I'm like, okay, babe, I love you so much. It's the cutest thing in the world to watch my wife try to hip hop dance. And don't get me wrong, she can move, but it's cute. I love it. So
I've always, it's crazy. Obviously, like, I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan, but I've always found fascination with just artistry in general when you can be multi-talented or to the degree of for that up that avenue, you were able to dance, sing, breath control, memorize lyrics, like all this stuff in a similar fashion with whatever we're doing. Like, there's a skill set to each little thing, right? And it's not something like, oh, a week of training, I got it. Like, it's constant. If you really want to be the best version of whatever it is that you're doing, personal or professional or whatever.
I love that. A lot of us have natural ability, but even the people with natural ability have to put the work in order to be elite, to be the top notch, because it takes consistent work. And you mentioned that word earlier today, and I love that word, consistency. That is a big part of my vocabulary. It's a big part of my process. And I love that you brought that up earlier too, because it is exactly one of the best recipes to have for anybody. If you are a consistent person, even if you're consistently bad, at least we know how to fix it, right? You got to be consistent with stuff,
Whatever the recipe, it has to be consistent.
Fact.
So the way to tell that the recipe is off is based off of the consistency that the recipe usually has, right? If this is constantly what the Coca-Cola tastes like, and then it's off, oh man, that's not Coca-Cola that's messed up. The conditions for this one are off, right? The consistency of the product and everything. And that is why it's so important that we have people like you that are helping primer people and get them ready to have different layers of consistency used when they present themselves to their customer. Yeah. So being that we're in the sales world, right? That's something that we used to think that was just a person. That was an innate thing, right? Like, it's not like a songwriter, like Justin Justin can do all those things, right?
Who doesn't love JT?
But he can write the songs too. That's a certain talent,
Yeah.
Not everybody is able to come up with the script, but everybody is able to learn the script. So sales is a skill, and if it is a skill, it can be taught, and you specialize inside of that. And that's why we want to grind up this 5-liner and get things brewing with you, because you are finding a way to help make sure that people capitalize on every single conversation that they have, right? Otherwise, why are we having the conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Brownie points, as I call it.
Right? Yes, you do.
Yeah, brownie points where, yay for you for making X amount of calls or completing all your tasks, but you really want to look at what results am I getting with everything, not just the phone calls, not just the email, but everything. If I'm going to hit click, one little click or one little tap or one little tap of any energy that I'm going to exert, I want it to be probable that I'm doing it for a reason, an expected result. Right? If you do this long enough, then then it's either this, I'm doing this just to clear off my task and so I don't get in trouble, or every time I do this, oh yes, it actually works, right? If we sort of think about how the front of the house works when you're selling a car out on the front of the showroom, right? And a salesperson, especially green pea, oh yes, you close the deal for the first time, right? And then you do it again and you're like, damn, that was kind of like the same thing. The customer sort of said the same sort of stuff, right? To a certain degree, gave similar objections. And you learn your groove, right? You learn what you eventually learn that when a customer says, oh, honey, we got to think about it out on the floor. You don't just go okay, you have a probable response that's just almost like muscle memory, right? That sort of comes out. And whether that's on the phone, which is the most difficult thing for customers to they don't, with the way that smartphones are now, people need to realize, and I don't know why our industry doesn't talk about this. They still go into this Wolf of Wall Street, hey, make 150 dials if you're a BDC rep. But bro, you can call one, I'll put it on a very extreme level. If one customer, let's say just one lead, and you call them from any cell phone number, you could set any Google, you can call them from any number 100 times in one day. If they have that one silence unknown feature on, their phone is never going to ring.
Yeah.
So you, you need to know, it's kind of like this, so everybody goes, oh, well, we text anyway. That's normally the next thing that people bring up. Well, we text message. And it's that realization of, do you use text message for brownie points? Like you get the engagement, yay, the brownie point, or are you using it to close? Right. And what I started to realize is, from a probable and psychology standpoint, text is great to get the initial response. It's the most instinctual thing for a customer to do. But anything I do in sales needs to be my customer's idea, right? So it's almost like before I even sell the appointment, I need to have a modern day person in 2021 want to talk to me on the phone from a text message, because instinctually they don't. That's why they didn't pick up your phone call just now, right? There's even memes I see on like these younger Instagram sometimes that I follow, but it's funny because they're like, it's like these funny memes where it's like, no, don't call me. Like if you call somebody, it's awkward for them almost nowadays. Right. So, and so it's almost, but from a psychology standpoint, from a closing standpoint, if I took the same scenario, right, of a similar customer, I got to look at, do I have higher probability of getting what I want or closing the deal on a phone call or over text? I can even look at that. Like, we know if I were to ask any salesperson, hey, do you have a higher close rate when the customer's in the showroom in front of you, or would you rather like close the deal over text? Most of them, no, I want them in the showroom, right? Like, it's the same concept. If I want to sell in a test drive, oh, I'm not there. Like all these things that come up with the trust between the trust fall between the consumer and the dealer. It's almost this transformation of, you need to, so much of where you need to start now is like almost even text messaging is a gift. Sometimes you start before that, where you don't even have a phone number to text, right? And then sometimes you even start before that, where you not only just have an email, but you don't even have their real name, right? It's like, no, what's their first name? You're all, no, last name. Oh, no name. Okay. No name. No name, right? And sometimes you see some not nice, some inappropriate ones. I don't like, but
sure.
But you got to realize we can kind of joke about it, but you have, the Super Bowl commercial that painted our industry so lovely. Yeah. That is what is still, you saw it on Super Bowl. Like, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I specifically saw that commercial, and I was just like, there you go. No, it's no wonder that, let me get this straight. A customer willingly just took their fingertips, like creeped on the internet, found our website, creeped on cars, clicked the button, filled out their form. You know what? Better yet, they filled out a credit app. You would think that, like, since they gave their blood type and everything and spent all that time, that when you call them, they're going to pick up. And it's like, what? So it's this trust wall that I'm realizing exists, no matter what the scenario is. Of before I'm even gonna ask for a date, I got to get that wall to drop, right? And realizing how to do that has kind of been has been interesting, especially through text message, right? I have a thing that I always do, very similar to how professional athletes, get better at their skill set. They don't want to. It's grudgingly work. Like, it's something that they, in their head, they're like, no, I don't need to do this. But the way that they rewind the tape, right, on everything they do. Yes. They rewind the tape. Well, what do you mean by that? It doesn't have to be a phone call. I'm talking about everything, a text message. If I go, gosh, why did the customer say that? Well, rewind the tape. What did you say before that? What did you text before that for them to respond? Right. Those are the pattern habits that you want to look at, that I've sort of fine-tuned to where it says, all right, probability says if I word it with this similar type of way, then these are going to be the results. That's always something that I'm doing. I'm thinking of, if I ask a question, because we know, okay, if a higher probability to get a response is to ask a question. Well, take it to the next level. If you're going to ask a question, make sure you got your game plan planned out. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to ask this question and, ooh, God, I hope the customer doesn't answer that way, then don't reword your question, right? You just put yourself in your own corner, and if you rewind the tape in that aspect, not just with phone calls, but with text, then you start to realize consistency, pattern habits, to the point now where, whether it's it's just so it's this cool thing for me that all the different avenues of internet sales follow up or BDC, whether it's email responses, email only customers, no name customers, text messages. I'm able to pull screenshots of like daily. That should be the method. If anything, back of the house of that we're going to teach or tell our people to do. The biggest thing, I know this just being started getting in the car business, like some training a lot of times doesn't click with salespeople because it's like learning algorithms, like trigonometry in high school. You're like, why do I need to know this, right? Like, is this really gonna work? So when they see the proof in the pudding, that's the biggest thing that clicks with most people, right? So if I'm going to be teaching, all right, here's a class. Here's how you take a customer. Here's what you do with an email only customer. Again, I don't want to just be teaching the activities that you do and the task clearances, but I almost wish somebody would just raise their hand in class anytime this happens. Anytime they're learning, can you show me an example? Well, yeah, let me show you an example of Sally and Billy. No. Like, show me an example of a real customer. Oh, okay. Let me scroll back to the beginning of last month. No. Like from yesterday, like from today. Because if something really works back of the house, email only customers, anything email, anything text, that's all screenshotable and provable, right? Phone calls, provable. And you're not just looking for the proof in the pudding, but can you pull a real example from yesterday?
That's
you are wealth of knowledge, girl. You are obviously an all-star at what you do. You're always evolving, and I could tell. And 2020 was a great year to be able to learn, educate, get some statistics, get your probabilities together, get everything figured out to where you can master it to the best of your ability. Great job doing that and explaining that. But man, let's talk about why she is who she is today.
Yes.
Let's talk about all that. Now I have this 5-liner I'm going to ask you. It's 5 questions. The first question is my favorite question. It's your why. I know we all have one. We have a purpose. We have a reason why we do what we do. What's your why, Elise?
Oh man, are these the questions where I was like, hey, are you going to like give me a heads up on these questions? Are like, no.
Exactly.
the fruit, I feel like it's such a cliche answer, but also, I think, for me, when I've sort of lived, everybody goes through this journey if you're a parent, but the moment you become a parent, and for me, more specifically, this is going to sound strange, but I was adopted at a very young age. So up until I became a mom for the first time but from a physical standpoint, right? Like having another, somebody mirror physically what I look like, because my mom and my parents are white, right? Like they don't look anything like me. So it was the first time as a mom where it wasn't just the realization of, oh my God, this is like a tiny, you made like you're responsible, right? That kind of realization, but also just, oh man, that's the reason why, like in the moments, especially 2020 was back against the wall for so many of us, challenging us to really get through a lot of things. But, through it all, it's almost this, everything that I do is to make sure that they have a good life. Right. Yes, that's through it all. Like whether it's, I feel like with this industry, it's, there can be sometimes like stereotypes and everything like that. As a mom, like even since kind of the beginning, it was people always ask like, oh, how do you travel and leave the girls and this and that? And it was always almost like this thing that's, well, wait a minute. I don't want to, I feel personally that men, for example, wouldn't get asked that question, right? Why are you on a plane? Like, why are you traveling? And it's almost
a great point, Elise.
And it's almost like I'm doing like this, what a parent, right? Who is a parent and like who wants to make sure that their children's lives like are happy and stable and that they live the best life that they can live. Like I feel that's my responsibility, right? Even above my own, sometimes selfish needs. There's been plenty of times, especially where it's like, gosh, selfishly, I wish I could do this, but for the best for my children, like this is the best thing to do. So that's such a cliche answer, but I'll share with you, like if you stripped you know, if you stripped everything away from me and I had to start all over, like, it would be for them, right? When it comes to them, like, I'm never going to put them in a situation where they don't have a good life. And I've, you know, to my learning experience, I learned my boundaries with that. A couple of years ago, I went super hard on the road, right? An excessive amount. I was gone almost for 6 months, and that's something that I won't ever do again. So lesson learned. So you can get caught up in that hustle game. But I think with kind of like going extreme, like 6 months on the road and then 2020 hitting, like, it's put me at this really good balance now. You throw in the David Goggins, Andy Frisella of mental fitness, and like, and just I feel at a pretty good peace, like, with everything.
Well, you've had some major growth, and I've been, like I said, I've been following you, and you, when you talk about the cliche answer, is it cliche? No. I know what you mean, though. It's a common answer, but it's not cliche, because I know, based off of everything that we've been talking about so far today and watching your posts and following you, that it's deeper. It's deeper than that. And I know that, and it's, you know, I know that there's not enough time to get that deep. Right? You know, the thing is that what we do for our children, it is for our children. For me, I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have my son. Period. Hands down. 17, 18 years ago when I was told I'm pregnant. It changed my life. I had no goals. I was skateboarding every single day then. I had a little restaurant that I was sort of running with my mom, and I didn't really go there. I would show up whenever I wanted to. I didn't have any purpose. All I had was, hey, I want to get up, go skateboard, have fun with my buddies, smoke a little pot, a little bit of fun. You know, I was young. I was having fun, you know, and it was like, that's all. That was my purpose. That was my why. But then my son came. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was deeper. It wasn't just, hey, I want my son to have a good life. I want to show my son how to have a good life. I want my son to see that my father worked his whole life, and he always did everything that he was supposed to do. He was trying to make my life great. He was encouraging me. He was this, he was that, all the things that you're doing, Elise. And your children, as you get older and as they get older, they're going to realize that. Even if now they're like, Mom, why do you have to work all day? Well, years from now, they're going to be like, man, I'm so glad my mom worked all day, because look at how amazing my life has been. Yeah. Look how much work she did. And then look at now that whenever they start their family, you're going to have and be able to afford the time, because you put it all in now to be able to be part of their family and be more than, you know, their grandmother or whatever they are, right? You know, you're going to be all of that, and you're going to be able to do it with so much more. And then also your kids are going to be so much more encouraged to have you around because of the example that you gave them. So they want their kids to see that example from their grandparent too. So it's a trickle down effect, and you're doing it with such class. And I've been watching, like, I'm seeing you. I see you getting in that shape, working out, doing all those things. Some of those posts you put out are some of the prettiest scenes ever when you're out there by the beach and stuff. I'm so jealous of your running spots, I tell you. But no, you're doing it, and that's great, you know, and that's a great why to have. And if there's anything, you have to have it, and you have one, and you have multiple ones. So you're going to keep it going, and I know you will. And Elise, I appreciate everything that you do for that. So
yes,
thank you.
Definitely honor anybody that's making sure to find a way to help other people master their craft, while at the same time being able to aim their focus into mastering their relationships, right? So when we take the chance to analyze what it is that we've poured ourselves into, whether it's our efforts, our talents, or our time, when we see the fruit come out of our children, when we see the fruit come out of the people that we've invested in, that turns into some sweet, sweet victory that is hard to describe. And I mean, there's so much that you poured out there that I'd like to dive in and pull back out. But for the sake of time, I'm going to try to keep moving on this 5-liner. But there's so much that you do that we need to help make sure that managers and leaders and others are doing. I know what it's like to walk up to a guy who's doing the Brownie Points, right? He's getting all the activities done, right? The appointments are getting on the board, and then they're not showing up.
Yeah.
Right? They're making all of the connections and they're setting no appointments.
Right.
Or they're setting the appointments and they're confirming the appointments, and how come your closing ratio is off to everybody else's, right? Because everything is based off of an average, and there is a science to this. And so when going up to your guy and saying, okay, look, you're setting all these appointments. What's your confirmation look like? Okay. Well, wait a minute. How many phone ups did you have this month? What? Yeah. This week? What? Let's listen to it. And everybody loves the squirm of turning on the speaker and letting everybody hear this phone call, right? Those are funny moments for everybody in the room except the one that's sitting there like, oh man, Oh man. And sometimes for managers, it's painful for you to listen to it because you're like, oh gosh, why? How could they say that? Bro, what have I taught you? Right? Because sometimes the mundane action just becomes part of the click. I'm just here to do the task, which isn't necessarily what's going to work inside of sales. Just doing the task doesn't get it done. Understanding the person you're trying to communicate with, how they communicate best, right? We all know that the text message is going to be open more than any other form, but that doesn't mean that it can be completed there. Just because I started the conversation with my best friend or my spouse in one place doesn't mean that's the only place that we have great conversations, right? Yeah. And a lot of the times we do not fuse together all the elements of communication we have, which right now we're learning that it's important for dealers, salespeople, businesses to have a multifaceted approach to how they complete getting business. I mean, you didn't used to get Baskin Robbins delivered to you, right? Now it can show up at your doorstep, right? So all of these different ways to help make sure your product gets where it is that it needs to get to is happening, but the communication is key. Understanding what's being said, what made the person defensive, what made them lie to you. Well, a key part of our training is do not say something that you know is going to result inside of a lie. Don't ask a question that's going to make them get defensive. Don't watch how you set that up. You have to set it up right. And it's like a superpower because I love it when the guys watch Fred or watch me get ready to go, they talk to the new guy. Watch this. Watch this happen. Watch what's getting ready to happen. We got to watch this customer all of a sudden start nodding their head, right? Only because we know how to have that talk. We've done it once or twice, right? We've seen how this flow goes. Yeah. And a lot of times that new guy doesn't know until he gets the win why he needed to learn that part of the script, why he needed to shut up, why he needed to pause, and why he didn't need to say so much. Right. Because my biggest struggle is just I say a little bit much, right? But eventually they're like, okay, just shut up and let's go, right? But and that might be a lot of you guys that are watching now, you guys and gals. But I'm asking this because in this business, we get so caught up in trying to be loud about our offer that we forget about what they're looking for. And when we harness the skill of attracting the fish to the bait, right? Yeah. Understanding what they're even looking for. Why are they even in the net at the moment? Right. And getting them to what they're trying to get resourced to. There's a key skills in just people developing. And so what you do is bring that together. You help people to hear that. You help people to see that for their own business. And I want to know, what is it that got you into this business? What got you in the auto industry itself to become the ninja that you are?
What's crazy? I used to give like the PG version, and it's true. It's not like a false story, but I did grow up around the car business, like my whole childhood. My dad was in the car business up until I went to, in high school, I think. So he was in it for probably like 10, 15 years. But it's not, I think for anybody, most people in the car, it's not like they raise and go, oh, I want to go in the car business when I grow up. That's not really a thing. So that's the PG version that I always shared, but the PG-13, and I was married for a long time, so I didn't always bring this up, but the PG-13 version is, I was always working 2 or 3 jobs because that's what you do when you don't have a college degree and you're independent and you live in California and you have to support yourself, right? So sure. I was always working 2 or 3 jobs, not really. I think at an early, like at that point, like my short attention span started to click in. So college, I did really well in high school, but, when junior college rolled around, I only excelled in the stuff that I cared to learn in, right? So it was this, and then eventually I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was down in San Diego working 2 or 3 jobs. I was on my Starbucks break, and, my boyfriend at the time, had just gotten in the car business. So this is when flip phones are like this, and like he like and he's like, hey, text or call me. This is when people talked on the phone comfortably. And so I called him, and he had just started at a Nissan store, and he had just sold his first truck after like it was his first like real customers first. Wow. And he told me what he made, and it was like $1,800 on a used Nissan Titan, and I'm like, wait, repeat that? Like, that's like what I make all month working all 3 of these crazy jobs. Like, so it was kind of a really funny thing because I don't know anybody that's so dedicated to just go, but I was chasing the money at the time. So the next day, I had I took the bus because I didn't have a working car back then. And that's how I got in. I took the bus to a few dealerships and all the import stores, the Nissan store specifically, told me no. And then I walked into a Ford dealership and they looked at my Starbucks resume and they said, all right, we'll give you a shot. So, and then when I sold my first car, I didn't make $1,800, but I made just under 800. And I was hooked at that point.
Good.
I was like,
that is the hook right there. That first deal, and you do get the flavor. But $1,800 for your ex's first deal. Wow, what a way to get introduced into the business. Oh yeah, that's no big deal. $1,800.
I mean,
we do it every time.
Hello.
I mean, I was such a nerd about it too because the dealership I worked at didn't offer any type of quote sales training, right? But they actually had the store he worked at he had a login to so this is I don't recommend this now, especially because I'm on the other end, but he had a login to Joe Verde, right? So I would use his login because I didn't know anything, and that's a lot of how I learned like a lot of it was that, and then a combination of learning from the other sales guys out on the pad when you were waiting for us of how but it really wasn't until when I met Jerry through Phone Ninjas, that got me from not even like, ew, the phone. Like, I really don't want to know anything about it. It got me interested in the phone, but it was when I branched out, like, I mean, specific to the phone and everything, when I branched out on my own and dealers, when they hired me, said, started to say, hey, can we do less classroom and can you be more in the boiler room, right? Or can you be more hands-on with our salespeople? And as opposed to, so I started to tweak my agendas in that sense. But then I realized, gosh, when I'm live in front of a sales team, you can't mess up. Like so when I took a script, for example, that I had learned perfectly and it didn't work, and then it made me look. It was like, ooh, that didn't work. Oh God! So figure out how to make it work better. But that's how I got in at a that was in 2007, which was the last crash that we had. But I think coming from, working, always working, $10 an hour jobs plus tips across 3 ways, like, and then you realize the car business. But what is interesting is there was a point in the car business, and this was probably when I transitioned to internet sales, where I started to realize the separate skill sets a little bit, right? Like when you're with a customer. I started to almost think when I'm with the customer face to face, like that truly should be the easiest part, because at that point, when you're on internet, like you've done everything up to that point. It's almost just like you're meeting a blind date for the first time face to face, but they wouldn't have met you on a blind date if they didn't.
Like you.
Right. Yeah.
You said it earlier, you can't ask somebody on a date without breaking the wall down first, right? And it's the same thing with the car business and anything you do. You can't just be like, hey, it's nice to meet you. Want to buy a car? You can't.
Yeah. Well,
it's all about getting to know somebody. They want people to buy from people they know, and that's what they want. They want to feel comfortable. They don't want to feel like they're getting ripped off. They want to feel like that you're there for just one purpose, to help them.